The metaverse truly does seem like one of the hottest sectors on the market of recent memory. But I know many ASX investors have been asking, are there companies on the ASX that actually provide exposure to the metaverse and Web 3.0 trend? Well, today we're going to explore 4 different companies that provide this exposure. They've all got their own unique takes on the metaverse and exposure to the technologies and the evolution that's taking place in front of us. But each of them are fascinating, and make sure you stay until the end, because we're actually going to be covering a company that today brought out their very own NFT. And from my research, it's the first company on the ASX to actually be providing exposure to NFTs. It's quite a milestone day for the broader sector. Before we do dive into each of these individual companies and talk about how they're trying to evolve and scale into this exciting space, I thought it made sense for us to take a bit of a step back and have a think about what is the metaverse. Even just the word, the metaverse, evokes quite a visual for many people. I know instantly people's minds go to a futuristic society where we're all wearing virtual reality glasses, talking through holograms, and maybe not even interacting to those around us. But actually at its core, the metaverse is just a virtual reality space or a digital space where users can interact with the environment and other users. We don't have to be walking around with VR or AR goggles on. We actually have a range of metaverse-like spaces already in the day-to-day that we're seeing. Whether it's a game like Pokemon Go with its augmented reality components, whether it's games like Fortnite, Minecraft, or other crypto projects and crypto games that have really soared into the common discussions over these recent times. These are all metaverse-like spaces. And of course, as this technology continues to develop and expand, granted, yes, it's still in the very early stages, the metaverse will become more and more integrated with our day-to-day life. I know a lot of people think about the metaverse as being too futuristic. How realistic is it that we're actually going to live in this metaverse? But I don't think it's going to go from 0 to 100. The same way that people probably in 1998 would never have foreseen how the internet would evolve. Nobody would have been able to consider what life would be like in 2020 with the internet. But really, if we're being honest with ourselves, we basically live on the internet now. We spend so much time on the internet, and even though we're not living inside the internet, we are living side by side and with the internet integrated with every aspect and every facet of our life. And I think there is that possibility for the metaverse moving forward. Depending on the different components, virtual reality will become, of course, more commonplace. Visualizations and the ability to integrate and interact with users, colleagues, fellow students is going to become more and more commonplace. We've already seen it with Zoom and Microsoft Teams and how much more reliant we are on those now compared to, say, 2018 and 19. And these types of evolutions will continue. There is the opportunity as well in the metaverse to translate to a digital economy, which idealistically is interoperable. Now, what does that mean? It means that you have the ability to transfer, whether it's different items, assets, your actual characters, or other components into different spaces. So it's not as if your profile, say on Facebook, is completely distinct and different to your profile on Twitter. Interoperability at its core will have the ability to transfer and move between these spaces and carry over some key characteristics, which is quite fascinating to think about. And before we do engage into the rest of the video, I think it's worth noting about this term here, XR. We'll refer to it a bit throughout the video. XR just stands for extended reality. It's a catch-all term that refers to virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and a range of different facets, but just think about XR as this broader thought surrounding the metaverse too. If you do enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new here, welcome. We make daily videos each and every day, so make sure you've subscribed and turn your bell notifications on as well. And I'd love to know your thoughts on it all as well. So drop in a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on the metaverse and any ways that you're potentially getting exposure to this trend at the moment. So stock number 1. The first ASX metaverse stock to discuss is Vection Technologies. ASX VR1 is focused on bringing integrated XR to the commercial world. So they're developing enterprise level solutions. As we've mentioned, extended reality is an umbrella term including AR, VR, MR, and they're really looking to develop out their capabilities and skill sets through strategic acquisitions, which will help to facilitate and then ultimately accelerate in-house organic growth as well. They've got quite an interesting capability set at the moment. They've got some key technology partners as well, some leading global names, as well as some really solid brands as clients initially. They're still in the early stage of development, like all of the companies that we'll be discussing today. But of course, they have a long growth runway ahead of them if they are successful, as they continue focusing on this development, extending into new verticals and building out their in-house capabilities. I think it is worth noting as well as we go through this video, the metaverse is in its very early stages. There's no one single definition yet. It is just a broad umbrella term. And so each of these companies has a slightly different take on their exposure to this broader sector trend. But of course, this is only a high level overview as well. We've done some looks into some of these companies on the channel, which you can check out after this one. But we'll do some further deep dives moving forward into the future as well. Just a reminder too, I'm just a bloke on the internet who loves talking about stocks. I'm obviously not a financial advisor. Nothing we discuss on the channel is financial advice. The stocks we cover are not buy recommendations. It's all just a general discussion. Hopefully it's an interesting starting spot for you to go away and do your own research from. Stock number 2 is Aerometrics. ASX AMX is a company traditionally that was known for their MetroMap product that provided aerial imagery data to a subscriber base. It leverages DaaS or data as a service. It's quite similar in nature to another company that you might be familiar with on the ASX called Nearmap. So of course they continue to develop and scale out their MetroMap offering. But the reason why they make this list today for metaverse exposure is their 3D modeling service that provides a digital 3D model to clients. They've developed their first one for San Francisco, so it's a model on San Francisco, and interestingly, this has been purchased by Google, so obviously a big global name, validation, that's a tick, as well as another company called Terrestrial, who's building an NFT project called Luniverse, who will actually be utilizing San Francisco model within that. If you think about the use cases for this, it's so broad, from engineering to gaming, technology, and many others, including the infrastructure, public sector space, that are really only just starting to come to fruition. Of course, the technological advancement is only just starting to pick up pace. We know that companies are continuing to invest into it, but they need access to data sets. And as Aerometrics continues to build out this 3D modeling side of their offering, it's going to be fascinating to see how it scales, and the types of companies that will be interested in this as well. Stock number 3 is X Reality Group, ASX XRG. You might have formerly known them as Indoor Skydive Australia Group, or ASX IDZ. They've had a name change, a new rebranding, and a new focusing, transitioning from, as you can see, a visionary leisure company that was formed to build and operate world-class indoor skydiving facilities, still a part of their offering, and it's still quite a fascinating one as well, but really now moving into a broader offering, broader scope, and a more robust offering, being an innovative company building immersive XR products and experiences that enhance lives. This really centered around a recent acquisition for Red Cartel, which is an Australian leader in VR, AR, and XR, has worked with companies like eBay, Qantas, Cadbury, and this is really tied into another component of their offering, which is Freak. Freak Entertainment delivers multiplayer VR experiences in physical locations, like in Bondi, like in Macquarie Park. There's a range of different ones. So X Reality Group's focusing on building simulations for enterprise, defense, and the consumer leisure markets. It's going to be fascinating to see where the story heads from here, as they have just recently rebranded at the back end of 2021. And then the final company on the list today is PlaySide Studios. ASX PLY is the largest Australian listed video game developer. There's a lot of excitement surrounding PlaySide Studios. They listed on the ASX through an IPO a couple of years ago in 2020. They've got a range of components in-house in terms of their actual game development. They've got in-house IP development, coupled with work-for-hire capabilities. And so their work-for-hire capabilities have got them in partnerships with a range of leading global names, such as the Shiba Inu company. You might be familiar with that. But also a milestone agreement recently signed with Take-Two, who, for those video game fanatics out there, they know that they're a huge global company, most famous for the GTA games, but a range of others. They signed this milestone agreement with the label 2K Games as part of the Take-Two broader company. But really, the reason why PlaySide Studios makes this list today is today they released their first Web 3.0 project. This is their Beans NFT, which is based on the Dumb Way to Die series. They actually purchased the Dumb Way to Die branding recently, and this is their first project in it. But they've outlined a metaverse and Web 3.0 strategy for PlaySide. You can see on the right here a couple of different components that they're looking to bring out over the next 12 to 18 months. Bean Pets, they're looking for an NFT-driven MMO or a massive multiplayer online game within the metaverse, and then some 3D avatars as well. They provided some numbers today surrounding how the release for Beans NFT went. Quite interestingly, actually, Ben Simmons, who is an avid NFT collector reportedly, he actually bought in and got some Beans NFT as well. So that's a big name validation for that too. So then I guess that brings us to the question of where will the metaverse head? It's so early. Of course, companies are just starting to dip their feet into it. We know about Facebook and Meta over in the United States with the rebrand and the focus on this space. So you might be wondering, what happens next? If you have enjoyed the video as well, before we answer the question, don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you've subscribed and turn your bell notifications on, and feel free to share the video out. But I think it's an interesting one. I think we can't consign our thoughts about what the metaverse might look like just to what we've seen in the media or movies or different types of books and discussions and publications out there. Where the metaverse will evolve to is going to be so different to what we can conceptualize today. If anyone had have tried to conceptualize what the internet would look like during the Web 1.0 days, where it was basically just read-only, one way, some written blogs or written text online, nobody would have seen the integrations that we'd have with different types of social media, two-way forms of content, and of course what we've seen the development of today. And I think this is a really fascinating quote that many people think about when discussing innovation. So Paul Krugman, who was a Nobel Prize winning economist, stated in 1998, which isn't that long ago, it's only 20 or so years ago, that by 2005 or so, it will become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than the fax machines. This was an interesting visual by Scholastic that had a bit of an insight about what the internet might look like. And so I think despite the fact that we're not currently surfing on keyboards through the world at the moment, there's no way to really deny that the internet has become integrated and embedded with basically all that we do in the world. And I think the metaverse has that ability as well. Now, it's not going to look like what we really envisage in this current space, but I do think if we think about study, work, play, all of these have opportunities to be disrupted by metaverse-like capabilities and components. Maybe we're hanging out with our friends looking at an NFT art gallery, or we're watching esports in a metaverse-like space. Who knows, maybe many of the games will become more and more metaverse-like we've seen with Minecraft and Roblox and Fortnite recently. With the working rooms, we've already seen how Microsoft Teams engagements have become commonplace with all that we do. Zoom is a word that I think everybody's familiar with now. But imagine potentially some holograms popping up or some integrated spaces where we can write on whiteboards together and collaboration is so much smoother. This would be very beneficial for a range of different sectors. And thinking about how training could be enhanced, presentations could be enhanced, and learning could be enhanced in spaces like this, I think it's quite fascinating to think about. Granted, it's early. Granted, there's a long range of development to go, but it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. Let us know your thoughts on it all. Drop in a comment below. We've done a video recently on what the metaverse is, so I'll leave links to those up above that you can check out after this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the video. For now, stay well and happy investing.